You grew up a sports fan, right?
Big time.
Who was the best athlete you watched as a sports fan?
So it started when I was real young, right? Red Wings, Pistons, Lions, Tigers. I remember, I think basketball is where I would start. Dave Bing,
Okay.
Bob Lanier. Pistons finally get into the playoffs in the 70s. They hadn't been in maybe ever, going down to Cobo, but watching them in person, I just remember how good they were. Dave Bing was just a thing of beauty to watch his game. Incredible game. He could score. I mean, he was Isaiah Thomas before Isaiah Thomas. Could dish, could score. The Dauber, big Bob Lanier. He had a jump shot, 6'11" guy. No big guys had jump shots back then. There was no three-point line. So I remember that very, very vividly. The Tigers are the team that got me hooked on baseball. I mean, I was 9 when they won the World Series. And Willie Horton was my guy. Yes, Al Kaline, of course. He's a beautiful player. But I like the power hitters. And every time Willie stepped to the plate with that aggressive stance, we all could imitate every batter's stance on that 68 team.
What just happened to your top lip there?
Oh, I don't know. That was Willie Horton, but he could hit a home run every time up. And I loved watching him play.
What do you think is the allure of a home run? Seriously.
That's a great question. There's just something, even though we see a lot of them, it still is something that gets everybody excited because there is something majestic about a guy who can square up a ball, hardest thing to do in hitting, and hit it a mile. It's always been something that captivated fans, right? Certainly was for me as a kid. Yeah, it was great to see a line drive single, but that's not what you remembered. You remembered the bombs, especially Tiger Stadium, upper deck, left field. The All-Star game in '71 when all those Hall of Famers were hitting him to the upper deck and center and to right. Those are the blows you remember.
I think, just reading between the lines of our conversation we just had with Spencer Torkelson, and he hasn't said this explicitly, you listen to the conversation at home and think if this is your takeaway as well. But I think watching Barry Bonds made Spencer Torkelson, in some way, want to be a power hitter.
Yeah, if you grew up a Giants fan, he was really young when Barry Bonds' career was coming to an end, but he obviously knew about him. I'm sure he had watched highlights, and absolutely. How could you not? You just. I wish there was. I mean, we were spending some time on Barry Bonds the other day. I wish we could just put aside the controversy. I get it, but do appreciate what this guy did. It was like 800 walks and 200 strikeouts his last 6 years in the major. I mean, with power. It's insane how good he was.
It is. And every time he came to the plate, and I don't know that I agree with putting aside.
I know. Just for the sake of appreciating him.
Right, for the sake of the conversation.
I understand that has to be part of the story. I
Correct.
agree.
You're just trying to become a newsmaker. I appreciate that.
No, I'm not.
By saying that. We had a thought of playing a news segment called Does Dan Care? Or How Much Does Dan Care?
I think we're going to get to that at some point
because
this year.
you have I'm glad this is a little bit of an offshoot, and bear with us. We're going to get to the conversation with Spencer Torkelson, but we love playing How Much Does Dan Care? Mm-hmm. Because you never know. Scale of 1 to 10.
Is this going to be the first episode of Does Dan Care?
It has just organically happened. Quite often we'll have a conversation on the bus.
Yeah,
and I'll be like, I have never had an opinion on that. And you'll be like, darn it. You need to have this level of eco-friendliness.
That's right.
When you flush a toilet. Can you explain that for the audience while we play our first episode of How Much Does Dan Care? Yep.
8th grade, did a science project about clean water.
Okay.
Influenced me for life.
Okay, what was the project?
We waste water. I went to a local stream, tried to see how polluted it was, grew stuff in a petri dish, but it made me look up the value of clean water and keeping our water clean. Had a big influence on me. It just did. To this day, I hate wasting water. I just hate it. So anyway, but I think clean water is kind of a big deal.
Sure. So that's a 10, right?
That's
Clean
a 10.
water is a 10.
That's a 10. We live in the Great Lakes region. It's like, this is what? How much of the world's fresh water is in those lakes? It's a ridiculous percentage. So anyway.
We'll look it up. We have a whole staff that
we
can
have a
do
staff.
that. They're
The
going to be
research department
thrilled.
can get on it.
Yeah, they're going to be thrilled to do that. But we do like playing How Much Does Dan Care? And I think it should become a staple of these introductions. How much does Dan care about vacuuming?
I
1
like
to
to
10.
vacuum.
What's
Vacuuming, ironing shirts.
ironing
I don't know.
shirts even more than vacuuming?
Yeah.
Why? What?
Just get
what
the
appeals?
wrinkles out, make it look good.
Yep.
I don't know how well it shows
I think
up.
there's
but,
you got a little crease, northeast corner, as we're looking at it.
I know. Sometimes it gets caught. But
How much does Dan care about the transformation of Spencer Torkelson this year?
that's a 10.
It is. Why?
I so admire how, there is so much that comes with being a 1-1, the pressure and, the expectations, right? He not only came up and failed, started the next year, had to go down at the All-Star break, come back, the next year hit 31, the next year back to the minor leagues. This is not an easy path. And the fact that he just kept working, he didn't let it crush him. We've seen other guys. That's it. You're just never going to turn into anything. And he absolutely, I don't know if he embraced the challenge, but he certainly responded to it. And then when the Tigers, it was almost like they took him off the roster this winter. They didn't. But they took his position away. But they handled it so well. It's like, you still have a role on this team. You can still be a part. But how did he respond to that challenge? Not by crumbling, by saying, hey, you took away my position. It's like, okay, this is real. I better figure something out. I have so much admiration for that. And to see how he's gotten off to this great start because of how he handled it, phenomenal.
Yeah, to add to that, I think he's easy to root for because of the joy that he shows as a player. To me, he is one of the best fits in that Williamsport game as we've had in baseball in a while, because you could see him just being a smaller version of that in Petaluma.
Yeah.
Right? You can kind of picture that, can't you? And I think that's why you may have started there with him in our conversation. With what he enjoys. Is that why you started with him there?
I was sitting in the booth and looking out at the field and watching the ballpark come alive. It's kind of my favorite time of the day, and there's a certain rhythm and feel to every day at the ballpark. There truly, to me, is not a bad day at the ballpark. I don't think you can have a bad day. But what does he like about that? Yeah, game time. That was kind of what I expected. But also, he gets here at 12:15.
Yep.
12:30 every day. Why?
To tape a podcast with us
but
today.
Right. But on a regular day, it's to be with his guys.
Yep. And I think that's...
And that matters.
Yeah, that's the magnetizing force of Spencer Torkelson. Real quick before we get to that beginning of the conversation, cloudy skies, how much does Dan care? 1 to 10.
Don't care.
You don't care at all if
No.
it's cloudy. You just
No.
said the sunlight at the ballpark, and it's this whole like bask in the glow the way you said it. But you don't care if it's cloudy.
No. I love
Why?
the change of seasons. I don't care. It makes you appreciate a sunny day in January.
Yeah.
Because it's cloudy all winter. And I also learned from my son, who lives in L.A., he's like, you know what I miss? Rain. Every day is the same.
You raised
You can't-
another you.
You can't mark the passage of time because every day is the same. And I thought that was so interesting. It's like he loves coming back home. And if there's a storm, oh, my gosh, he's happy.
You almost did a Tom Hamilton impersonation. Oh, my gosh. Okay, we're going to play How Much Does Dan Care? But I want to use the hashtag Does Dan Care because it's shorter. So just a call to action. Just tweet in any topic, okay? Use Twitter. It's called X now, but it's really Twitter in our hearts. Hashtag does Dan
There
care?
aren't that many things today.
There aren't that many things. Yes, there are. We could be like omelets, and you'd be like 8. I have a very specific way an omelet needs to be made. Acai bowls. That's like an 11. You have a system. So hashtag does Dan care? And we're gonna take 1 or 2 every episode, and we're gonna see 1 to 10 how much Dan cares.
If this makes you happy, but we're going to flip it around on you sometimes.
We're not. We're not. It's your name is in the name of the game. Hashtag does Dan care?
Jason too?
No, it's too long. We had to lop off how much anyway. It's too long. That's the name.
All right.
Let's see how much joy Spencer Torkelson has for the game of baseball. Dan leads us off on this episode of Have a Seat, presented by Figer Law.
This is Have a Seat with Jason Benetti and Dan Dickerson, presented by Figer Law.
Spencer, thank you. Thanks for coming in and sitting down.
Of course. Happy to be here.
We're getting ready for a night game here at Comerica Park. Field's getting ready. Ballpark's starting to come alive. What's your favorite time of day at the ballpark?
Probably about game time. But it's always nice to show up. You know, we always get here, like for a 6:40 game, we're getting here between 12:15, 1:15, depending on how much stuff you have to do. But showing up and seeing the guys is always a highlight of my day as well.
Yeah, you get the chance to just, again, that time to just sit, hang with each other before you get to work.
Exactly. And you're doing work while you're hanging out. You know, you're stretching out, you're getting some treatment done. But just hanging out with the guys is always a good time.
What's your first memory of that being a good time in baseball? Hanging out with the guys.
Probably college, because in high school we didn't have locker rooms. I mean, I guess you could go back to Little League when, like, you know, you show up for a 1 o'clock game at 9 in the morning just to hang with the guys, you know, and play wiffle ball or whatever, or tag, and then, you know, in Little League you're getting ready for the game 20 minutes before first pitch. It's not like, but in high school we didn't have locker rooms, so it was kind of like get done with class, go straight to practice, or then but college, you know, we're hanging out with the boys a lot because ASU, you know, a lot of online courses, so the guys had a lot of time to hang out.
You didn't have locker rooms in high school?
No, we the PE had locker rooms, but they wouldn't let us use it for some reason. And football had a locker room, we weren't allowed to use
Baseball,
it. Baseball,
not allowed. Sorry, football rules.
Yeah.
You just changed and then came to the field?
Yeah, we go to our cars in the parking lot, get in the back seat, change for practice, and head on over.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. The gritty gauchos.
What? That's what you were?
The gauchos, yeah.
Casa Grande?
Yep.
Gauchos?
Yep.
Why didn't you hit homers in high school?
So people don't know this. I had juice. It's just our field was pretty small, actually. It was like 310 down the lines, 350 to dead center. But the wind was howling in.
People don't talk about the weather enough.
Exactly. Exactly. You look at the dimensions, you're like, oh, he found his power. No, I had power. I just couldn't use it.
So as we're taping this, that ball last night, Monday night against the Padres,
Crushed it.
reminds you of high school.
Oh, yeah, I'm used to it. Grab your glove.
Grab your
Great
glove.
swing. Go back on defense. You're out.
What do you think that does to your psyche about power hitting that you played in that kind of environment in high school?
Yeah, I guess I'm used to it. And it didn't help that I got to call out my high school coach for, like, we literally took ground balls more than we hit. And we hit BP on the field maybe once.
Really?
Big defense first guy.
Why? What was his background?
He was an infield guy.
Who couldn't hit?
I don't want to say that, but
Let him
maybe,
say it.
maybe. But no, he's the man. He was big on the 3-to-1 ratio. When you hit on the ground, they got to field it, they got to throw it, and they got to catch it again. When you hit in the air, they just got to catch it.
Yo, do you ever call him and say the slugging percentage on ground
yeah.
balls is X?
Oh, yeah. I'm still very close with them, and I'm like, you did not help me out.
You're still close with him. I love it.
Yeah.
He was just a good guy. Good,
Oh, the
good,
man.
perfect
Baseball
guy
guy.
for high school.
Baseball guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Married to the game. Absolutely loved it. Taught the fundamentals, the right way to play.
So if we were to say his name too, if we were to go to one of his practices, what phrases would we have heard him pouring into your head every day?
Paul Maturana is his name. We call him Mayo. Probably you'd hear that 3-to-1 ratio. I don't use that. But he's a ball talk guy. I don't know if I can repeat everything he says, but he's good at ball talk.
We're a family first podcast.
Yep.
So thank you for keeping that to yourself. Appreciate it. So I've been wondering this since we knew we were going to have you on the podcast. It's been rolling around in my mind. How many different lives have you already lived in your Major League Baseball career?
I'd like to think one, but it's definitely probably been like 4. Or yeah, this is my 4th season, so there's been 4 lives. Like newbie, rookie, think you figured it out, 2nd season, terrible 3rd season, try to figure it out again for your 4th season. You know, it's like it's been a roller coaster, but I mean, I loved every second of it. I mean, I shouldn't say every second of it, but I love what every second of it has created in me.
What has it created in you?
I think it's created kind of like a consistency and a confidence that I can, persevere through a lot of things. And I think it helped me find myself when, coming out of college, I thought I had it figured out. I'm like, I know how to hit. I'm going to conquer this game, and then get humbled very fast. And not very fast. I had a really good, first season in the minor leagues, and then rushed up to the show and then did not have it figured out. And I had to almost figure it out again, and also humbles me saying, I will never figure it out, but I will, give it the best chance every single day.
I went back and watched our chat from spring training, the first time you and I sat down since I came over here, and you used a phrase that I thought, especially in retrospect, was really interesting. You were talking about 2023 and the sadness of not being the best is the phrase you used, that there's a sadness in not being the best. What does that feel like? And what does it feel like when you're out of that?
I think maybe what I was trying to say is like, I'm such a perfectionist to where like this is the wrong game to try to be a perfectionist. And obviously we all want to be the best, and I strive to be the best every single day, but the bests aren't perfect. Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani, they miss middle heaters too. It's just they don't, hate themselves for it for the next 3 innings and then miss the next middle fastball. They reset faster, but not being, because I've always believed in myself, and even when things were not going well, I always believed what I could be. And I think when you're not living up to your own expectation, it's like, I think a lot of people have felt that as like it hurts and it sucks because it's in there and you're just like, how do I unlock it? And you're just searching. And when sometimes the best thing to do is just like slow down and take it day by day.
What did you do on the first drive to Toledo last year?
Probably called like 5 people just to get my mind
1
off
hour
baseball.
ride,
Yeah.
you're calling your top 5.
Yeah, I commuted it. My agent called me and just like, he gives you the whole spiel and kind of fires you up, and then you just call your family.
He fired you up?
Oh, yeah. He's seen it, doesn't mean you're not a great player. He gets you right.
You knew that was going to be a minute, didn't you, when you went down last year?
Yeah. I knew I had some things to figure out, and even when I came back, I didn't have it all figured out. I just kind of put a Band-Aid over it, getting to the off season.
How does it feel now?
I feel great. Yeah, I feel like myself, which is all I ever want to be.
What is that? Like when you feel like yourself, what qualities do you see in there?
Just playing a game. I mean, obviously, as a perfectionist in the game of baseball and in Major League Baseball, if you're worried about everything that could go wrong, you're never going to be satisfied. So what I think I've done so well this year is trying to create something new every day. I'm not trying to recreate, yesterday's swing or, a swing I made 3 years ago that it felt so good. I'm not trying to recreate that because then you're in the past. I'm trying to create something new every single day. And it works for, good times and bad times. I think when you're going really good, no matter what you're doing in life, like what your job is, you're going really good, your brain automatically goes to like, what was I doing? How did I get to that point? Rather than showing up and creating it all over again. And the same thing when it's not going good, you're like, what was it like when I was good? What was it like when I was good? Rather than you're different today. So just don't recreate, create today.
That's one of the things, obviously we learn as we grow older, but even in your 20s, your body's constantly changing. Every year is different, and you can't just rely on what you used to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's such an amazing thing to learn in your 20s. Just thinking, no, I'm still the same guy I was 4 years ago, but you're not.
Yeah, and it's just eliminates the robotic factor, the manipulating. You're just out there being an athlete, creating this moment, and you're not worried about anything other than this present moment, which is pretty freeing.
Derek Scooble talks about being athletic on the mound, that he's trying to just wipe out. Yeah, you're going to do everything in the bullpen to have that right delivery. But then when he's on the mound, he said, I just want to be athletic.
Yep.
And AJ talks about that all the time. Michael Bedard talks about that, being athletic in the batter's box. What does that mean to you, and how did you get to where you are now? Because that was kind of, as you said, you didn't change your swing this winter. It was about that setup and being athletic.
Yeah, it just I've always, since I can remember, I've been the best hitter and have been gifted with this ability of hitting the baseball on the barrel and over the fence. So it's like, how do I get out of my own way and just let my ability and my instincts take over? And that's what I unlocked this offseason, both with my mindset and as a mechanic. I don't care what it looks like. I'm just going to go up there and be free, compete, not try to do too much, and I'll be fine. I can live with that because that's an attainable, thing. You try to chase hits in this game, it's not attainable. You're going to fail a lot. So just creating, attainable things that I can accomplish every single at bat and every single day, to where no matter what the actual stat or result looks like, I accomplish my plan.
And that's not always an easy thing to do either.
No,
I'm okay. The process was okay. I didn't get a hit, but it's okay. That's hard.
Yeah, it's very hard because you don't make it in this game without results. But you also know that chasing them doesn't, give you success in this game.
What result on the diamond is McKenna happiest about?
Probably I would like to say I was the same guy no matter how I'm doing in the field, but sometimes I don't want to do that. I don't want to take the dog on a walk right now. I want to just lay in bed. But I think I'm a little easier going. I think I'm just I'm a little freer. I never want to take at bats home or games home, and I've done a pretty good job, but I've never been perfect, and I think I'm doing a lot better this year. I take the dog on the walk and help out.
What kind of dog is it for the dog lovers out there?
French Bulldog.
Yeah.
And the name?
Coco.
Coco?
Yeah.
Where did Coco?
Little diva.
Where did Coco get the name?
I don't know, honestly. I think McKenna one day was like, Coco. I was like, sure. I don't have a say in this. It's okay. Coco it is.
What do you have a say in? What are you allowed to have a say in?
I have a say in a lot of things. But I mean, her name's Coco, but dog, she has 10 different names. Nugget, Nuggy. Yeah, it's her name's not Coco.
That's amazing. The wedding is where?
It's in Healdsburg, which is Sonoma County, about 30 minutes north of where we both grew up in Petaluma.
And the venue is picked for what criteria? What gets you excited about what's coming up?
Gosh, when we went venue, touring, my mom did it right. She rented the limo bus and had, her mom, Jody, and
Let's turn this into something fun.
yeah, my mom's like, how do we make this a party? And we have a limo bus pick us up at 8 a.m. with mimosas sometime in January. I'm like, all right, this is going to be fun. And it was the first venue we showed up at. Hunter Pence was actually hanging out front of it. And I was like, oh, this is pretty big league.
What's he doing there?
Yeah, I'm like.
Did she pay Hunter Pence to
No,
be there?
no. And her,
So you would like it?
her mom, Jody's the biggest Giants fan ever. She's like, hi, Hunter. It was funny. I was like, don't embarrass me right now. And then, but it was just, it was secluded. It was quiet. It was, had a, couple vineyards. It was resort on site. There was a couple. There was no parking lots visible for pictures. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
How do you decide? I've always wondered this. How do you decide how deep the roster of teammates coming to the wedding
Yeah,
is?
that invite list gets
That is a
Yeah.
tough
it gets
deal.
you.
It's tough. It's tough. I want to say I invited a lot of guys. McKenna had a criteria of like, if I've never met them, they're not invited, which I understand. So I made sure every teammate, goes up to her and says,
Why is there a line of 40 Tigers at spring
yeah,
training?
Exactly. But gosh, I like to be around the guys. I like to party with the guys. So I wanted to get as many guys there as possible.
You on the dance floor on wedding night will be what?
I'm not the greatest dancer, but I like to feel the energy.
free and
Yeah,
easy. Just
free
like-
and easy. We'll see how many tequila sodas go down and see what happens.
I love this podcast so much, and suddenly I'm thirsty.
It's water.
You think so? You mentioned the Giants, Hunter Pence. What does it mean to you as a baseball player to have grown up in that age when you start to really love sports, watching Barry Bonds dominate the game like he did?
Yeah, pretty special. And not only, he's obviously my favorite player ever, and he was a big reason why I chose Arizona State. I was just like, oh, I don't even know where I wanted to go to school. Where did Barry Bonds go? And someone said, oh, he went to ASU. I was like, that's where I want to go.
That's how you end up
Yeah,
at
I was
ASU.
like, yep. And then I think it was Barry Bonds hitting all those homers, just dominating. And then my uncle saying, chicks dig the long ball. Chicks dig the long ball. And me
Literally
growing
the
up,
time
10
that
years old,
ad
I'm like,
campaign, right?
yeah. I'm like, let's go. Like, that's – and so now I say McKenna digs the long ball. And then but, yeah, seeing Bonds, and then I think that just the 2010 to 2014 run the Giants went on was unbelievable, because I was from 10, 11 to 14, 15 years old. So pretty key time growing up, and being able to watch those games, go to those games, feel the energy in the clubhouse, like as a fan, like you could notice
tell, couldn't
there
you?
was chemistry.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that really, I mean, you were impacted by that in
Oh,
terms
my
of,
gosh. Those pregame speeches Hunter Pence was
oh my
giving,
gosh, in
yeah.
the dugout here. Hate to say it, but I mean,
yes.
you feel like
I know. 2012, that sucked for the Tigers, but I was actually on the other end of it, but it was just special.
As you watch a run like that as a kid, I just wonder, what made you such a fan? Like, what piece of it really appealed to you?
I think I obviously loved the game of baseball, and then I loved the team aspect of it, of everyone was pulling for each other. And I felt it in Little League, when we were trying to make a run to Williamsport. We didn't make it, but just every single guy was pulling for each other, would do anything for the other guy. And then it was just all or nothing. And I think I was definitely, admired, the way Buster Posey handled his business, Brandon Crawford, these legends went about their business, was set a, really good example for me as a kid.
You've mentioned Little League a couple times. I wonder, you said, you've been the best player a bunch of places you've been. Did you have a rival in Little League? The kid that was almost as good as Torque, that you were like, I gotta hit a bomb because he's kind of catching me?
No, not a player, but a team. So my 12-year-old year in Little League is like your last year in Little League, where like those are the kids that go to Williamsport, that age group.
Yeah.
We were Petaluma Valley. We had 3 Little Leagues: Petaluma Valley, Petaluma American, Petaluma National. We played Petaluma National in the district, and I played travel ball with these guys, so I knew them, and they were all really good. And we beat them in the first game of district, but we were in the losers bracket, so we got to beat them twice. And then they ended up beating us to move on. And then they go to Williamsport, and I'm just in class, in August, and we're watching them on TV, and all the girls are like, "Oh my gosh, they're famous." I'm like, "They're not that good." All right, like, I'm so jealous. They're missing school. They're playing baseball on ESPN. I'm hot, but I'm happy for them now. I was a little jealous.
When did you get happy for them? Was it 6 years later? Was it 8 years later?
I think it was like when I went there last year. Yeah, I was
You
like,
finally
all right,
cleansed
this
it?
is kind of cool.
That's amazing. When you're standing out at first base, where does your mind have to be?
I'm locked in. I think, I'm just trying to be as locked in as possible. Not the whole time, because it's just like impossible to stay locked in. Because I think I read a stat: the ball's in play in a baseball game like for 12 minutes total. I don't know.
Probably
It's
about
not
max.
much. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So every pitch, like I do a little reset, whatever it is, and then for like the 10 seconds where the pitcher has the ball on the mound and the ball is going to be in the hitting zone, like I've tried to be as locked in as possible and just attack everything. That's it.
Attack everything.
Yeah.
Meaning what? What does that do to your body?
Yeah, for me, when like you say defense, you kind of get on your heels, like you're on defense. But when we're on defense, I want to be like, we can still attack this ball. We can still go after everything. You see white, you go get white. Like that mentality, just keep you on your toes and play free and fast. That's the way I like to think about it.
We've watched you improve incredibly at first base. You had that little stretch. It was a weird stretch in like August a couple years ago where the errors were piling up, and then it seemed like you really dedicated yourself. It was just kind of, like you said, the more aggressive, but the way you've been able to scoop the ball. But you have put a lot of work into becoming a pretty darn good first baseman.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be a one-dimensional player. I don't think my dad would never allow that either. You got to be the complete player, the five tool. I don't know if I have the speed, but
but you're sneaky quick. You told me that.
First to third quick,
Yeah,
not home to first. Got to get going.
One of those is a longer distance than the other.
Yes.
Yeah, you got to get that.
So you're a distance runner? Is that what we're gathering here?
No. Like the 60-yard dash. That's it.
Very specific. Like you get to
Yes.
80, it's not happening.
80, I'll slow down.
40, it's not happening. Too short of a window.
Yeah, too short.
But first to third.
Yeah,
Sweet spot.
first to third with the shuffle to get going even more. Yeah.
Standing at first base, we always see the conversations. Hitters will say when they're standing on, that guy's half the time trying to distract them.
Mm-hmm.
Are there some strategies there when you're having any conversation, interaction with a guy you know? Or do you
I have
don't
a
know?
different take on it. I don't talk to the guy out of respect for my pitcher that he just got a knock off of. I'm like, you just hit a ball 110 miles an hour off my boy. Screw you.
I'm not talking to you.
But I'm friendly. I say what's up. I'm not gonna, because I'm trying to stay locked in too. I'm not there
Right.
yet where I can have a full-on conversation, stay locked in. I know AJ would not like that if I'm just jabbering and then miss something. I would hate that.
It's not often we hear somebody say, screw you and I'm friendly in the same sentence.
Yeah.
On
But
this
like,
podcast.
no, they're like, hey, what's up, man? What's up? Because I'm trying to stay locked in as well. And as a base runner too, is like, I don't want to, miss that dirt ball read because I'm, asking
Right.
him or telling him, oh, it's a beautiful day here,
Yeah, they said Freddie Freeman with the Dodgers is pretty good about trying to distract you, the base runner.
Absolutely. And I think I can definitely, there's some guys that get on first base and they try to be really talkative. So I don't think they're going to steal, and then they steal right away to distract the fact. It's a little game between the game.
Yeah.
I think Freddie's really good at it.
If we said you get to be president if you ace a quiz about one topic that you choose, any topic, could be anything. What is your special subject that you know way too much about?
That's crazy. I don't know. Okay, what are examples? I mean,
Like the 2010 Giants, how to make a great chicken soup, the weather,
How to be good
punting,
how to be good at Fortnite.
how to be good at Fortnite.
no, I think I'm,
If you were to make a how-to book on how to do something or how to learn about a topic, what would it be?
dude, that's a great question. I need to think about because
We have hours.
I think I'm so basic.
Why do you think you're basic?
I don't know. I'm very basic, but
But why? You don't even have to answer the other question, but you have to answer this. Why do you think you're basic?
maybe I think I'm maybe a little too surface level sometimes, to where it's just like no subject. It's just let's roll with the punches, kind of type of thing.
Where do you get that? Where does that come from?
I don't know. Yeah, I think it's just how I roll.
That stare is great. That's how I roll. That should be on a T-shirt. Have you always been like that?
I think so. Yeah,
What does it get you?
I'm very. I don't know what it gets me.
Now you're being surface level with me.
I think I love to joke and laugh, and so I could write a joke about that. How to be funny. I can do that.
Were you that kid in class?
Yes.
What
Yes.
What would we have seen with little Spenny in class?
I got kicked out of class sometimes because I was laughing too much or fooling around, playing
Trying
home
to
run
keep it
derby with
loose.
the racers. Yeah, we
Wait,
kept it loose.
Home run derby with
Oh, yeah.
erasers in the
Oh,
middle
yeah.
of class?
You get those, number 2 pencils, and then like you take the eraser off the end of it, and then that's good hand-eye coordination stuff.
You're sitting at your desk doing that?
Yeah, like throw it up and hit it with the pencil.
In the middle of like science class?
English, yeah, I remember it. Yeah, I got a referral. Yeah,
Did you?
yeah.
Were you worried when you got sent to the office?
I was more worried that they would tell my mom. That's what I was the most worried about.
And they
I
nev-
could handle it.
They didn't?
Oh yeah, they did.
Oh.
Yeah, they
And
did.
what did she do?
She got very upset with me and told me to never do it again. And 2 weeks later, I couldn't handle it. I couldn't not do something. It was reading time or quiet.
So what was
time.
the next one?
More.
More home run derby with the eraser? Or?
Oh yeah, same thing. Home run derby with the erasers. I
You
mean,
just couldn't help
the
yourself.
6th grade, like HI, like I couldn't hold it in. I was just laughing the whole time.
What's HI?
human interaction? It's where you learn about everything.
Well, then
Oh,
you
the
should
body.
be joking around and
Yeah, I'm
keeping it
in
loose.
6th
The
grade.
Human
You can't
interaction.
blame me.
So you don't like quiet. Like you don't like.
No, I love joking around. I love making other people laugh. And like one thing I do is like when I tell a joke, I laugh at it because I don't know if I like to make other people laugh or if I like to entertain myself. But McKenna says I tell a joke and I laugh, and so the other people feel forced to laugh.
Buddy, you don't know how much I love that answer. I feel seen.
Exactly. You do it for yourself. Maybe I'm selfish. Yeah, I just like I say it because I think it's funny, and then I laugh, and then I think other people think it's funny, but maybe they're laughing at me or with me. I don't know.
That's
Doesn't
straight out of
matter.
the Jim Leland school of telling a joke, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to laugh. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter what the joke is.
He just laughed at that, and it wasn't even funny.
Exactly.
So what makes a good clubhouse? I mean,
He just did it again. He just did it again. I love it.
That leads to a good clubhouse, right? I mean, in terms of what makes a good clubhouse when you've got those interactions.
I
And you-
think there's no like individuals to where obviously Major League Baseball and it can become individual and hey, look at me. But I think a good clubhouse, people have that, but they also have the fact that like we're a team and we're all boys here, and everyone likes each other. I think that makes a good clubhouse. And definitely keeping it light. This team does an amazing job of keeping it light and just having a good time no matter what, in game, post game, before the game.
When you're in that 31-11 streak at the end of last year to get to the postseason, what was the feeling in terms of what's clicked? Just everything came together? What was the one thing you remember?
The one thing I remember the most was it was the first time in my major league career that we showed up to the field expecting to win. And I've had that feeling before on some teams, not in Major League Baseball,
Right.
but we showed up to the field every single day, and we're it didn't matter how we won or how we were going to win, we just knew we were going to find a way. And that's a pretty special feeling.
Started this series, everybody said we weren't playoff tested. We just passed the biggest test of the year to date, but there's more coming, okay? Never know. Get it going. Hey, listen, listen, I'm not sure who, but somebody let the Tigers get hot.
It doesn't always carry into the next year. Did that carry into spring training, and then you could feel it at the beginning of the year as well?
Yeah, I don't think that exact feeling carried over. It was more of just we know how we succeeded, and we know to our core identity that AJ and George and all the coaches, instill in us is we're going to play the game the right way. We're going to do the little things right, and we're going to be just a bunch of dogs out there. And I think that's what you're seeing. And then that creates the feeling of showing up to the field every single day expecting to win. I think the little things and just knowing that we're going to be more prepared and we're going to work harder creates that feeling.
Okay, what was the best one moment of that crazy celebration after the clinch last year?
That was special. I think the champagne shower, just everything that year gave us and myself, it was so crazy, and to get rewarded with such a special feeling, and to do it as a complete team and with the city behind us was the best feeling ever.
Who in that clubhouse reacted differently than you would have expected in the middle of that champagne shower?
I think our owner, Chris Illich, doing his little dive in the champagne. That was awesome. I'll remember that forever.
He loved every second of that,
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
he?
That was special.
Once baseball's over, we talked about how many baseball lives you've lived. Once baseball's over, whenever that is, what do you want people to think of when they hear the name Spencer Torkelson?
I definitely want them to realize everything that I've been through, good times, hard times, and especially through the hard times that I persevered and came out on the other side. I want people to see that, because the good times, those are gonna happen, but what I'm most proud of is I've seen the darkness and I've crawled my way out to get to the good times, and that's not easy. That's something I will always be grateful for.
What do you think your answer would have been to that same question on draft day?
I think it'd been what was the question?
What do you want people to think of when they hear your name when you're done with baseball on draft day?
Greatest ever. Best to ever do it. GOAT.
We're 4
Which I
years
want
away, but we're 4 years away. Think of how much that's changed.
Yeah. I know. I'm an old man now.
Do you feel like it?
No, I feel young, but I feel like I've seen. I haven't seen it all, but I feel like it sometimes.
You had a conversation with Barry Bonds when you were at ASU, right?
When I got drafted. Yep.
What do you remember the most? What's the one thing that came away from that conversation? Talking with
I
arguably the
think-
greatest hitter.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's just different in the realm of hitting, in his belief in himself. Like, he's 50 something, maybe almost 60. No,
Yeah, I think
he's 50, late 50s.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Something like that.
He still believes could probably go out there and do it. Like that type of confidence and belief that it takes to be a great hitter in this league is like, that was pretty contagious in him.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it takes. And obviously gifted talent wise and everything, but just his mindset was special. And he probably could go out there and do it right now. I don't know.
We'll wrap up on this, but we've walked out of stadiums and we see family members, nieces, nephews. We've seen you in a bunch of different realms. What do you think your favorite version of you is? Son, husband, uncle, like baseball teammate? What is the version of you that you like most, Spencer?
I think I want to say like just myself, because I'm pretty much the same guy. I'm a little more censored around, my nieces and nephews, but like I just like gosh, I just love being around people I love, and I love my teammates, and so it's just like I just like
So it's
being
all the
myself.
same, basically.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Do you teach the nieces and nephews how to play home run derby with erasers in the middle of class?
Not erasers, no. They don't know about that, but I definitely try to teach them as best as possible. I don't spend enough time with them because I'm here
Right.
and they're in California, but I definitely try to be there for them on their, early baseball and softball journeys.
You don't know a guy until you walk out of the Oakland Coliseum and you hear, Uncle Spenny, Uncle Spenny.
Yeah, exactly. They're crazy.
The best.
Yeah.
Spencer, unbelievable. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you guys.